Mike and I have been buddies a long time. I used to be his running partner, but I couldn't keep up, so I got ditched. So now we're just business partners. So I want to jump right in because this is not going to be a motivational speech. This is designed to be something that you can take with you to your businesses to use. I thought what I really wanted to do was dig in and give all the things that I felt like have contributed to our bank's growth over time. And I just want to tell you a little bit about it before we dig in. First of all, I'm always talking about my family. And so I wanted you guys particularly to be able to see my wife. She's obviously the one opposite me. This is her hair starting to grow back from her chemo experience. And these are our three little munchkins in between. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary. And she is a remarkable human being, predominantly because she put up with me for 20 years. So she's amazing. So I want to take you back real quick to February 17th of 2009. We had purchased Region Bank in April of 2008. And if you'll recall, we actually bought the bank on April Fool's Day of 2008, April the 1st, which was perfect given the fact that we immediately moved into the greatest recession of my lifetime. I think it was a depression from my standpoint in a fetal position in the middle of my living room floor, but it was very, very challenging. Bruce was with me, Jerry was with me, many of our team went through this together. We really had a miracle on February the 7th of 2009. We had lost money for about 8 months. We bought the bank. Immediately everything crashed. The bank was really a troubled bank whenever we purchased it. It lost money before we bought it. It kept losing money. We were growing and our capital ratios went below what the FDIC would allow. And so it appeared that we were not going to make it. And if you'll remember back during this time, the stock market went from 14,000 down to 6,000. Everybody's 401k disappeared, their home equity disappeared. We all felt a whole lot poorer back at that time. We had 80 shareholders that we had all together contributed $15.5 million to purchase and capitalize the bank, and I didn't think there was a chance in the world that they were going to invest the $3 million that we needed to stay in business. And we got literally a miracle phone call from the Treasury Department. They had a program called the Capital Purchase Program. And just the day, literally the moment that we were sending out letters to our shareholders to request this $3 million contribution, Sandy Moore is walking out the door with these letters. The phone rings. Our receptionist, Arlene, answers the phone, says, "Sean, it's the U.S. Treasury Department on the line." I thought, it's over. We're done. I told Sandy, don't take the letters. I think that it's too late. I walked around to my office, picked the phone up. The lady on the other end says, "Mr. Kouplen?" Actually, what she said was, "Mr. Kouplen." And I was like, oh my God, if you're going to shut me down, surely you could get the right pronunciation of my name. And so she says, "How are you today?" And I said, "Well, Miss Taylor, it kind of depends on how this phone call goes, you know." I'm about to choke. And she said, "You may not be interested in this," but she said, "You're one of 7 banks chosen in the central U.S. For our capital purchase program, and we would like to invest $3 million in your bank." It was an absolute miracle. But we were at the bottom. We had 40 employees. We had $70 million in assets. We had lost about $250,000 that year. It was very, very challenging. And from that point forward, we have experienced tremendous blessing. These red stars are where we are now. So we started in Nowata, which is the top middle red star. And of course, we immediately expanded to Tulsa. About 3 or 4 years later, expanded to Oklahoma City. We're at 50 Penn Place in Oklahoma City, and as you know, just recently expanded up to Springfield. We would like to be in Joplin, Wichita, and potentially Northwest Arkansas in the future. We have a vision to be a very strong regional mid-market community bank, and it's really remarkable. I'm going to show you. These are our facilities, and I just want to show you these real quick. This is our bank in Nowata. It is one of the most beautiful bank facilities you'll ever see in your life. If you ever have a chance, it's the prettiest building in Nowata, America, I promise you. This, of course, is Tulsa, to my left. This is our Oklahoma City office to my right at 50 Penn Place, and this is our new Springfield office that we just opened up, had our grand opening last Thursday. These are our numbers, and it's been pretty staggering. I just show you this to show you what I think can happen in an organization. If you look over 1, 5, and 10 years, let's just look at the 5-year. The 10-year numbers are a little bit skewed because we started out so tiny, you know, so when you start out with little numbers, your percentages look pretty amazing. But if you look at the 5-year, you know, we've had growth, asset growth of 27%, loans 32, 30, net income growth of 51% per year. Our stock price has gone up 21% per year, and you can look at our peers on the right-hand side that are typically about a tenth of that. So it has been, we are extremely blessed, and we feel very, very fortunate. And a lot of it's because of the people in this room. This is kind of graphically how we've grown, and you can see in 14, we really kind of were reborn. We restructured. We changed the way that we operate, and I'm going to tell you a lot of what we changed in just a moment. And you can see that our trajectory really took off, and it's just steepening by the year. Our growth just seems to be getting faster and faster and faster. It's been amazing. This is what our stock price has done over time. Over the last 5 years, the lowest has been about an 8% increase. The highest, we had a 25% increase last year, year over year. We're owned by about 200 small business owners in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and now Springfield, including several of you, Mr. Morris, good to see you, several of you, Mr. Tedford, in this room are shareholders of ours, and I'm eternally grateful to you guys for backing us. These are some of the awards. You've heard me brag about these over time, but banking awards, best places to work awards, probably, Bruce and I were talking this morning, probably the proudest is that Inc. Best Places to Work. As you know, there were only 2 out of the entire state of Oklahoma, and it was us and Kevin Burr with Barracuda, who happens to be here with us today as well. We cheated off of each other, so that's how we both were named to the award. So I want to share a couple of opening quotes with you just to think about before we jump into specifics. There's only 3 things that happen naturally in organizations: friction, confusion, and underperformance. Everything else requires leadership. So here's my message. If your organization is in chaos and you are the leader, you are the reason that it is in chaos. And that is a fact. You are not a victim. You are the leader of the organization. You can buy a man's time. You can buy a man's physical presence at a given place. You can even buy a measured number of skilled muscular motions per hour or day, but you cannot buy enthusiasm. You cannot buy initiative. You cannot buy loyalty. You cannot buy the devotion of hearts, minds, and souls. You have to earn these things. And you know, people stand up here a lot of times and talk about culture, and I know we all get so sick of hearing about culture. But here's what happens. We have about 100 employees today. At any given moment, I have no idea what those people are doing. None. They might be working at capacity. They might be working under capacity. They may be going above and beyond. And my experience is that when 100 people are going above and beyond, that is when you see results. That is when you achieve your best. And we determine in leadership where people function in that capacity. And we've all had great bosses, and we've all had bad bosses. True? And we all believe, if I were to take a poll today and say, who out here believes you're a great boss, most of us would probably, we might not raise our hands, but in our mind we're thinking, yeah, I'm the good boss. That guy across the table is the bad boss. And it really doesn't matter what you think. It really matters what your employees think. That's the deal. So what we're going to talk about today is a concept called a multiplier. And I'm fusing 2 books. I try to read a book a week just to stay sharp and learn something new. And I'm going to fuse two learnings today that I think were both game changers for me. And you'll notice that Mark and I very rarely speak here. This isn't a place to sell or brag. We want to bring you the best content, and so it really wasn't until I learned these that I thought, if we've got an opening, I would really like to share this with the people that attend. A multiplier is a leader who uses his or her intelligence to amplify the ability and capability of the people around them. These leaders inspire employees to stretch themselves to deliver results that surpass expectations. There is a book called Multipliers, and I'm going to actually give you a website here in just a moment that you can go actually take a test to determine whether you are a multiplier or a diminisher. Now, a diminisher is a leader who drains intelligence, energy, and capability from the people around him or her, and always needs to be the smartest person in the room. Now, we will all look at this and we will say, that's not me. I don't do that. That's not me. Here is the concept of an accidental diminisher. Okay? You're not doing it on purpose. You're not meaning to be this person that I'm looking at on the screen. But our actions, the things we do, the things we don't do, are having the result of diminishing the talent of the people around us. By the way, the two books, and I'm going to show them to you at the very end, are Multipliers. And the other one is a book called Love Works. And I'm going to get into that teaching in just a moment. Here are the characteristics of a multiplier. Okay, a multiplier is let me give you just a little bit of background. The lady that wrote this book was the head of HR for Oracle, the major technology company. And she would watch leaders come through their organization, and of course, they can pay a ton of money, it's best of the best type situation. And what she would find is that certain people, their teams would just flourish. Everybody wanted to work for them. They were talent magnets. They wanted to come there. They had a line of people that wanted to come in. They were liberators. They could unlock the potential of the people around them. They were challengers. They would push to greater heights. They weren't yes people. Multipliers aren't necessarily the nicest. They're pushing, they're challenging, they're trying to get you to grow and do more. They're debate makers. They don't always come through with all the answers. They don't know all the answers, and this is key. We're all leaders. We do not know all the answers. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone into our executive meetings certain about what we were going to do. Certain. I knew the answer. I was 100% ready to move forward. I asked the team, I am dead wrong. It is 7-1. I'm all alone out on an island. We don't always know. And finally, an investor, someone who spends time coaching and growing their team. Bruce is very, very good at this, our president told us. He spends time with his team, he grows them, he's fantastic at this. But she found out that other leaders were the diminishers. And so she tried to figure out the difference, and the book really delves into the difference between the two. But what I wanted to know, it's okay to know who a multiplier is, and this is who we want to be. How do we get there? Well, that is where kind of the second part of our learning comes in. And by the way, this website, if you'll take it down, it's multipliersbooks.com/add quiz, and then AD stands for accidental diminisher. If you will take that, it's only 10 questions, and you will get a score, and it will help you determine whether you are an accidental diminisher or not. And you will be surprised, I promise you. And I am not bringing this message to you because I am the perfect multiplier. I am not. There are things, as I've read this, that I need to work on just as much as anybody in here does. But what I was interested in is how do you become this? Because wouldn't you agree, we all want to be a multiplier. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in here who says, I can't wait to go to work and diminish my employees, crush their dreams, take away their ideas, kill their ingenuity. I want to do that today. We don't want to do that, but we do it. unintentionally. So when love works, he made a very interesting observation. The author shared this scripture, which all of us, if you've been to a wedding or ever been to church, you've heard this scripture. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy or boast. You can read it. We know the scripture. And he tied this directly back to leadership. So here's what I want to present to you. To be a multiplier, this is what we got to be. A multiplier is patient. A multiplier is kind. A multiplier does not envy or boast. She is not arrogant or rude. She does not insist on her own way. It is not irritable or resentful, does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. A multiplier bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. So what I want to do is kind of present to you each of these, and I want to talk through how we have attempted to do this within our organization in a very specific way. So hopefully you can look and go, man, that's a good idea. I'll take it and use it. Feel free to use it. Everything we've done, we've copied from somebody else, I can assure you. There are no original ideas. So here is my belief. I think there are all these leadership myths out there. I think that, we think leaders they're drivers. You gotta be a driver. You gotta be tough. You can't get too close to your employees. We can't be too good of friends with our employees. We're gotta be kind of scary. They need to be scared of us to do their best work. I need to have all the answers. If I'm the leader, I got to have all the answers, and oftentimes I got to use fear and I got to use intimidation to get those people to work harder. And I think it's just the opposite. I think that a multiplier leads with love. So let's go through it. Multipliers, I believe, are patient. And what do we mean by that? First of all, they have self-control in difficult situations. We have all, I've told the story, I had one of my very first bosses, we had a Bible study at the back of the bank. And it was the first time I had ever seen an individual openly spiritual at work. It was refreshing, I thought it was awesome. And when we would leave this community Bible study, we would immediately go to the front of the bank where we would have the loan officer meeting. And I was a loan officer. And what would happen is we would go around, and if you had any past dues over 30 days, the same individual who had just been leading the Bible study would scream, throw files, curse, except it only been 5 minutes before that we were in the back of the bank in the Bible study. And we all know people and have worked with people, and I want you to think about whether or not this is you, who are great when times are good and really bad when times are bad. And you don't control your emotions. You are not patient. You have to be patient in admonishment. That doesn't mean we don't give it. People need the truth, and we'll talk about this in just a moment, but we give it in love. We give it with pure motives. We don't embarrass people in public. We critique in private. We're patient in praise. We don't give general, you guys are so great, way to go. We pick out specific things that the individual has done. James and I were just talking about the 1-minute manager. And that's one of the things that in that book, he's great about picking out little things that you do and giving you praise for doing that, and it just makes you want to. What you want is a team full of employees that want to go above and beyond. Not that have to, not that are scared to, but they want to. Their heart is in it. They feel motivated, and of course, as the book discusses, 3 praises for 1 admonishment. 3 praises for 1 criticism. Here's how we try to act this out. Show you care is our #1 core value. It's the one thing in the organization that you get fired for. There is you get 1 warning, and if you're a jerk, and if you've treated somebody, I don't care what the scenario is. Banking is filled with conflict. Half of the organization, which I primarily lead, is go, go, go. Sell, bring them in the door. The other half, primarily led by my partner Greg, is the credit side. And he makes sure we make good loans. And we don't go out of business because we made a bunch of bad loans. And inherently, it is conflict from daylight till dark. It doesn't matter. We treat each other with respect and caring, or you do not work at this organization. Taking time, birthday calls and emails. We try to, every employee, it doesn't matter the level, they get a call or a text or an email or a note on their birthday. Same with our clients. My favorite thing to do at the end of the year is all my direct reports. I take quite a bit of time to write out their Christmas card, and I'll put a little gift card in there just so they'll open it, you know. So then they open it, and I want them to know very specifically how much I care about them and how much I appreciate them being on my team. And we invite and this is a really cool idea, we invite employees every month to come into our board meeting luncheons. So every month we have, it doesn't matter the level, we'll pick 2 or 3 employees to come in and meet the board to show them, and this is very, very important that our team understands there is not, I'm more important than you. We have different roles. This is your role, this is my role. We do not, nobody talks down to another employee within the organization based upon title, pay, size of office, etc. That does not occur because that's a fallacy. Multipliers are kind. They show encouragement and enthusiasm. This is a very, very difficult one. When you are a leader and you're under the gun and you've got things you've got to get done and there's more work to do in that day than you can do, taking the time to be kind is a lot harder than just reading a PowerPoint, as we all know. What does that look like? Let everybody know they're important. Taking the time to be thoughtful. Making sure that every employee knows that we care about them. Everyone. Not just the top tier, not just the big producer, not just the one with all the relationships, every single employee. This is how we try to do that. We have an employee advisory board that is basically our liaison between our employees and our executive team. They elect, each location elects their representative. They are very open. They come to us and say, this is where you guys really suck. This is where people are frustrated. This is where they're mad. This is what you're missing. We listen. We take a lot of actions based upon what this group tells us. We have an employee benevolence fund where we can all kick in. The bank kicks in on a monthly basis. You can go through the Tulsa Community Foundation. It's completely anonymous. If somebody needs one-time financial assistance and you have a lot of day-to-day, week-to-week paycheck people, I promise you, that are struggling like you have no idea from a financial perspective. Got to go to a funeral, refrigerator went out, car didn't start, whatever the case may be, they can call anonymously. We don't even know. We give the criteria to TCF, they call in and can get grants up to $1,000 to help them out. This is a pet peeve of mine. The people that have snacks and drinks and make the employees put $1 in the refrigerator to get the snacks. Oh my gosh, is that going to break our companies? I don't think that it is. We don't do that. We eat all snacks you want. You just better work hard, but eat all the snacks and drinks that you want, and it has not bankrupted us yet. We have a clothing line of credit. So a lot of times we have new employees, they want to dress nice, they may not have the money to do that. So we have a 0% clothing line where they can basically, if they leave, it'll come out of that last paycheck. They got to pay it back, but they're not paying any interest, and it has little bitty payments back over the time that they are at the bank. And then we just recently instituted a 2-week mini sabbatical. So every 5 years that someone works for us, on the 5th, 10th, 15th anniversary, you get an extra 2 weeks of vacation that have to be taken together, and you can't carry it over. I could obviously get into a lot of detail, but it's basically a bonus and a reward to you for staying with us all that time. So every 5 years they get an extra 2 weeks. I'm going to fly through these, and you can ask any questions at the end if you want. Multipliers are trustworthy. Stephen Covey says it's the #1 skill of a leader. You can't say one thing to one person and another to another. Half-truths. Let's not tell them everything there is to know. We can't do that. We have to be fully transparent and trustworthy. Earn the confidence of others. How do we do that? #1, we got to listen. Listen well. When somebody comes into you and they're giving you their opinion and what they think needs to be done, and you're in a hurry, and you're certain that you already know the answer, and you cut them off, and you don't let them finish, that kills the trust between you two. And it kills, they'll never come back in. They'll never come back in. Micromanaging. My management style, my team will tell you, is what we call no management. That would be the Sean Kouplen man. Thankfully, we have Jerry, Bruce, Charlotte, and others that do manage within the organization. So I'm probably not the best, but here's what I know. Who of us likes somebody else telling us what to do all the time? Anybody? Does anybody enjoy that? When you go to work, having somebody tell you every move to make, correcting you all day long? I don't either. So why would we do it to our employees? I mean, that is a lack of trust. And here's the deal, when you're hiring managers, one of the things that we have learned is you have to hire people that are trusting. Don't hire micromanagers. You've got these people that are got to keep their thumb on you. They will kill your culture faster than anything. I just read this Nike book, and Phil Knight talks over and over and over about he was a non-manager like yours truly. And both of our excuse for being non-managers is we just tell people what we expect and let them do the job. We're not going to sit around and tell you how all the time. If I have to tell you how, I don't need you. I could do the job. And if I have to tell you how too many times, you're not a fit within the organization, and it's time to move on to somebody that can be self-directed. So we got to hire people that are trusting. So here's, on a day-to-day basis, here's what it looks like. Our #2 core value is always be truthful and transparent. Same thing, we catch somebody that's not being honest, somebody that's not being forthright, they get one warning and then they're fired. We have full financial and strategic transparency. We have a monthly meeting where we show everything. Our employees, back when we were losing money, hand over fist, Jerry, it was pretty depressing, was it not? Jerry does our financial, he's our CFO, he does our financial slides. They're really fun now. Back in the day, they were awful. I hated that part of the employee meeting. We'd go rah, 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 and then we'd get to the financials, and we'd all, oh my God, this is depressing. But it helped the employees understand why we had to do what we had to do. Well, our logic is they need to know everything. Now, do they know what everybody's getting paid? No. That's not great for morale. But as far as net income, growth, charge-offs, credit quality, all of the major key performance indicators, they know it all. We report it every month. They know exactly how we are doing. We report on we use a management operating system you guys have heard me say called Traction, and it is fantastic. And every quarter we have up to 7 rocks or strategic priorities that our executive team is focused on. We report on those every month to our employees. And this is how we're doing, this is where we're at, this is what we're focused on, so they know in what direction we're heading. And then we do a weekly CEO video every week that Brandon's here, Brandon's back to the back, that he does for me, and we send out to the employees every week with the latest that's going on, anything that we think they need to know, we put in that video. We have an annual corporate culture survey, anonymous, where people can weigh in. And that's what I loved about that Inc. magazine award. It was based upon an anonymous survey. We didn't bribe anybody. We told them to tell the truth, how they really, really felt about working there. So if you don't have some type of a anonymous way for your employees to give you feedback, I think it's essential. All of our executives go through an annual 360 survey. As you know, this is where all their peers, above and below, all give feedback on how you're doing. These are tough to take sometimes. Sometimes you get feedback that's what it's designed. It's designed to show you blind spots that you didn't realize that you had. And as long as you approach it in the right way and people understand it's for development, it's not to be used against you, It is amazing what you can learn. Hire the best, let them do their job. And then finally, I really want to talk about this one. How people exit our organization. Every employee, when they leave, has to be treated with respect. Because I'm telling you, your existing employees are watching how you treat the people as they walk out the door. I promise you. And I heard this years ago, and that includes referring them to Travis Jones, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. So I watched this years ago. I had two banks here in town. One was notorious for if you left, take your keys, walk you out with security, can't get your stuff, got to come back out and grab your stuff later. The other one, and I'll just tell you, it was Our Best Bank. Our Best was known for being very, very classy when someone would leave that organization. They treated them well. Here's the deal. If they're going to take customer data, they've already taken it. It's not like they're going to resign and then run in there and log on the computer and steal the stuff. It's already done. I mean, there's nothing you're going to do. So making them look like an idiot and walking them out, that doesn't do anything but kill the morale of your existing employees. It's just something that I've always felt very, very strongly about. Multipliers are selfless. Now here's a biggie. When we go into work, you're thinking about one of two things, okay? We're thinking about us, or we're thinking about our team. It's one or the other. You can't do both. The best leaders are constantly thinking about their team. Constantly. What can I do for them? How can I make their life better? It shows. You can tell. Move from selfish to servant. Give of your time, treasure and talent. I love this quote. Are you a genius or are you a genius maker? Are you a genius or are you a genius maker? True leaders are genius makers, but that takes time, that takes growth, that takes all the things that we have talked about. And if you ever read the book Good to Great, you'll be familiar with a concept called a level 5 leader. If you haven't, they basically took the best companies in the world, and one of the things they attributed their success to was leadership. But not leadership like you and I think. Not charismatic, change the world leaders, front page, none of that. Very low-key leaders, put themselves last, put the organization first, very, very, very humble, you can't even get them to talk type leaders, all grew up from within the organization, very different mindset than what we think of in terms of a great leader. I love this quote. It has been said that after meeting with the great British Prime Minister William Ewart Gladstone, you left feeling he was the smartest person in the world. But after meeting with his rival, Benjamin Disraeli, you felt like you were the smartest. And that's the gist of what we're talking about. Do we want people to think we are the smartest, or do we want them to think they are the smartest? When your team thinks they are the smartest, that is when the magic really, really happens. So what does it look like on a day-to-day basis? We have a Regent Star Award. Every quarter, the employees nominate another employee for going above and beyond. It can be with a client, it can be with each other, whatever it is. The executive team selects. We have an annual award for those. After 90 days, it's getting harder because we're hiring a lot of people really fast, so we're struggling scheduling. But after 90 days, I sit down with every new employee, and all I'm interested in, I only have two questions. One, did we tell you the truth? Is this organization what we said it was whenever you came to work here? And if it's not, please tell me why it's not. And number two, what are we doing wrong? You've worked other places, you have great ideas, you've only been here 90 days, you haven't gotten sucked into the Regent Bank Kool-Aid drinking, where we all think we're so great. Tell us what we need to do better, and many of our best ideas have come out of those 90-day sessions. We have a stakeholders program. It's like a profit-sharing program, but it has, you pick your key performance indicators. So we'll have growth, credit quality, deposit growth, net income is certainly one. And each month, we report on how we're doing, and our employees' bonuses are based upon that stakeholders program. This is probably the favorite of ours. We have $50 million parties. So every time the bank grows by $50 million, We spend that number per employee in a party, or sometimes they want cash instead. So let me just give you an example. We just hit $500 million. Okay, we started at 70. I thought this was going to occur very rarely. When we were budgeting this, I thought this is something that might happen once a year. It was $25 million parties, and we're like, oh my gosh, we're going broke. So so what happens is, once we stay above 500 million for 2 weeks, everybody gets $500 in the organization. That's times 100 people. I don't have to do the math for you. That is $50,000 that we will spend typically on a hybrid. Normally we'll spend part of it on a really fun party where they bring their families and we all get together, and then part of it they typically get in cash. It is so powerful, because otherwise, think about it, all growth means to those employees is more work, right? I mean, there's nothing in it for me. That's just more and more I got to do. I'm making the same money. So you may not want to go quite this extravagant. Think about this as you're planning for eventualities, but it's very powerful. And our exec team makes all decisions as a group. One person does not rule. I have had things on our traction agenda for a year that I've been trying to get past. The guys won't vote on it with me. We just don't do it. So we run the organization very much as a group. Let me wrap. Last one, multipliers are principles. You stick to your values. Enduring companies are driven by ideology. They are driven by something greater than just profits. There's got to be a why in what we do. Your employees have to do right way and right results. It can't just be getting the numbers. They have to be following your core values. I just want to give you a real quick example of this. About 2 years ago, I felt really called to begin a daily devotional for our team. And I was petrified to do this. And I went to the team and said, hey, what do you think about this? And they said, well, you can't do that. You get sued. I worked at a place where a guy prayed one time and they got sued and they're in the Supreme Court, or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, maybe I didn't hear that right. Well, I did. It just kept coming back to me. Got to do this, got to do this. So we did. We started with 7 people around a boardroom table, a daily devotional every morning, 8:17. It's on your little page right there. Last week we crossed 10,000 callers in 27 states calling into this deal. So no, you have to say it. Don't clap, but not for the speaker. But it's just remarkable what you can do when you'll stick to your principles. And not lead scared all the time. What you really believe in, lead accordingly. These are our core values. Bring your A game every day. Be a lifelong learner. Enjoy the journey. We want to have a good time. Have a sense of urgency. Always be truthful and transparent. And the kingpin, show you care. We use these throughout the organization. And when we interview, we talk about them. You got to live them. As we're onboarding, we talk about them. When we do reviews and promotions, we talk about them. It's a one strike and you're out deal, and we go through them every month. That's how we open our employee meetings. So, in closing, I think multipliers lead with love. They're patient, they're kind, they're trustworthy, they're selfless, and they are principled. So as we end, let me share with you, those of you that have heard me speak know I always end with the same poem, and I just want to close with this as we go. Why do we do all this? Why do we do it? Phil Knight, in my book, is worth $10 billion. He looks back on his life and said, the best time in my life isn't now, it was when we were building. We had that camaraderie. We had that magic. It was us against the world, We made a difference. With what we were doing. We do it because we have, it may be 1 and it may be 1,000 employees that are counting on us. And every night when they go home, they talk about you and your company. Good or bad, they talk about you. You impact their families and their lives more than we ever know. So this is why we do it. God won't ask the square footage of your house, but He'll ask how many people you welcomed into your home. God won't ask about the clothes you had in your closet, but He'll ask how many people you helped to clothe. God won't ask what your highest salary was, but he will ask if you compromised your character to obtain it. God won't ask what your job title was, but he'll ask if you performed your job to the best of your ability. God won't ask how many friends you had, but he'll ask to how many people you were a friend. God won't ask in what neighborhood you live, but he'll ask how you treated your neighbors. And God won't ask about the color of your skin, but he will ask about the content of your character. So my wish as we leave is that we just tweak a little bit. We listen a little bit more. We help people grow a little bit more. We think about them first a little bit more, make a difference in our lives and that of our employees. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.